Hi, I'm Tim Somerville. I'm here with,
Michael Dempsey,
yes, and this is Off the Market with.
Team Somerville.
So this is the first podcast we're going to do, and we're going to talk about a variety of different things, and we will talk about real estate, of course, but we'll also talk about some other things that you may or may not be interested in, but we'll find out soon enough. So
Yeah, I think the overall goal is to keep you updated on the real estate market as well as, current events and things that, give you some advice on whether you're buying, selling. And
yeah,
just kind of, keep it in light atmosphere and
yeah.
go from there.
Mike's a stats guy. I'm more a fly by the seat of my pants kind of guy. So we'll see how that works. So I'll throw you under the bus right now. And where's the market?
Market continues to be quite strong. I mean, yes, technically we're getting close to the holidays and things are kind of tapering off a little bit as, buyers and sellers are a little occupied with, they start thinking about, I should buy some presents or,
What'd you get me?
can't tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can tell you, I don't have you for Secret Santa.
Okay, I don't have you either. Oh, look at that. Don't tell Shannon that. No. So anyway, so the market is pretty strong at this time. In fact, the great thing about the market right now are those distressed properties that have been on the market for any period of time. They're actually getting some interest and some are actually selling now because the inventory is so tight. So keep in mind that many people are, oh, I'll wait till the spring. Believe it or not, there's still buyers out there. We're still writing offers.
Yeah. Tim and I were both out this morning actually closing on properties with our buyers. Where were you? I was up in Nerpus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was in Latang.
Yeah. We're still, get people in before Christmas, holiday, and things like that. So we're still going pretty steady. We still have some of our listings are still seeing multiple offers. Definitely not as crazy as what some people would believe.
True. We had one last week, though.
Yeah.
We had one in Rossay. It was priced below assessed value, but it was a unique sale.
Yes.
And we had 12 offers on it.
See, everything about that property, the bones were so good. It just, that was a state, I believe, right? Well, yeah. So it just needed, someone to come in and, add a few touches here and there. And a lot of people saw the potential, not just investors, but people willing to roll up their sleeves and put in the hard work.
Yeah. You know what I noticed, though, is that during COVID, when we were doing multiple offers, many of the offers were 60, 70, even $100,000 above.
Yeah.
Now, even though we had 12 offers, many of the times that people are in multiple offers, the accepted price is usually what, 25, 35, maybe 40,000 above. There are the odd ones that are higher.
They're still the odd ones. We see a couple properties that may have needed a better listing price.
Yeah. But the majority are.
But the market is kind of, we've seen that over the years. The market has moved up. The average sale price has gone up.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of stats to go by. Me, the stats guy.
Yeah.
So when we go out and we sit down with Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're able to say, here are all the sales in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we have good information to show them. And it's not just, a few years ago, we'd be like, well, this is what the market says. And we look like heroes when we bring them that extra coin.
Of course.
But there's just no way of knowing at the time.
We have to watch what we're saying now. Because again, there is no guarantee. As we say, is we have no crystal ball. But, pricing is still one of the biggest strategies that sellers have to take into consideration. And with buyers, some of them are being patient because, again, it's that time of year. Let's go into interest rates.
Oh, before that, I was just going to say, we all know when is the best time to sell.
Yesterday.
And why is that?
Because we knew what happened yesterday.
Exactly.
We just don't know what's happening tomorrow. Yeah. We have an idea. But interest rates.
Interest rates, they've been very steady for quite some time now. Now, we're going off of the Bank of Canada rate, of course. Yeah. And that would come into play with your variable rate and things like that. Fixed rates are still pretty good. Yeah. We do have lots of partners that send us the rates nowadays, things like that. We're definitely seeing lots of them. They're just below the 4%.
Yeah, spoke to one yesterday, and the variable rate right now you can probably get about 3.5. Fixed rate anywhere between 3.75 and 3.89. So if you're getting more than that as a rate, you may want to shop around a little bit. But again, there's always different items that you have to keep in mind when you're getting that rate.
A lot of people tend to think that, let's say the 5 major banks are your best players, but I mean, have you ever considered to reach out to a mortgage broker who, as opposed to going to just that one bank, and sure, you've been loyal to that bank for 20 years. That's great. And we definitely appreciate loyalty. But sometimes these mortgage brokers have access to like 100+ lenders, and they may, be able to save you a few points on that interest rate. And in the long run, that's, could save you a couple $1,000.
Well, it's important though to keep in mind that also interest rate is not the only item to be concerned with. Too many times that's all we do. What's your interest rate? Bang, that's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
There are a lot of no frills mortgages out there, and you have to watch because there could be prepayment privileges that you're missing out on, penalties that could be even larger if you sell within the first
Yes.
5 years of your 5-year term. So you have to make sure you know the whole story.
Yeah. And like you said, some will penalize if you say, I want to put an extra $100 on my mortgage. Some penalize that.
Yeah.
Whereas, a good bank would, they would come off of your principal.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we were talking a little bit about doing some final walkthroughs. So sales. We have been very very blessed with the fact that we seem to have buyers and sellers at this time, which is great. Typically, come this time of year, people do start to hibernate.
Yep.
But I'll say that we've been flat out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so our the way Royal LePage looks at our numbers, we kind of look at it. We don't look at it year over year. We kind of move it back. So in the middle of November is kind of when we look at the numbers, like how's our year been. And so at the end of the year, we then of course celebrate that.
Bing, bing.
So one of the things that Tim looked at was he was looking at the numbers of so when that cutoff was the amount of closings we have from mid-November to the end of this year. And how many did you find?
Well, what we did before you do that is based on our calendar year. We've been told that we did over 270 ends in this past calendar year. So when you put that into perspective, in COVID, we did actually over 400. So you can see that again, it's still an awful lot of sales, and be hard pressed to find another team with that type of sales within a year. But what we also noticed was the market seems to be down. And to what Michael was saying, last year, more or less from the mid-November to end of December, we were doing about 12 or 13 ends or closings. This year we're about triple. So the market in our eyes is still open for business.
I think widely, all the real estate professionals are working hard to get people in, possibly before the holidays and things like that. And we know we'll see a small little lull in January as everyone's still getting over all the cheese and turkey that they ate.
Yeah.
But once they get out of the turkey coma, we're back up to business.
Okay. So we call this off the market. So let's go off the market for a moment and talk about something that's not even real estate related. What do you like doing outside of real estate?
I'm probably, one of the very few that's a true and true family man, like yourself. We any spare time in our career that we chose, we definitely like to spend time with family and just, we have movie dates at home, rent some movies or whatnot off Prime or Disney or whoever. And, we kind of stay in or,
Yeah.
to me, it's just all about like just spending the time. Like, you spend so much time working, and I always kind of laugh about like you spend so much on your mortgage, and people always want to be out and doing stuff, and it's like, well, I like being home sometimes too.
Well, we've been working on the home a lot this year. So actually this year, we're actually putting solar panels on.
Yes.
So some people may not be aware, but the province of New Brunswick does have a program. And if you're not aware of that program, you can reach out to us or, of course, reach out to many different organizations to help you and guide you on that. But looking forward to having them on. They should be on here shortly. But decent program, and can't wait to not have a power bill.
Yeah, anybody that's even thinking about it, you should look into it.
Yeah.
Should we, you want to plug the company that?
There are a couple companies out there. There are, well, even companies out there.
Reach out and see what works best for you.
Yeah. So,
We haven't done the solar thing yet, but maybe in a few years.
solar is really one of those items that, again, I know the initial cost is pretty high, but if you see yourself in your home for any more than 5 years, it could have a good rate of return, especially if you see yourself there even longer. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Off the market as well. What's your favorite sport?
My favorite sport's got to be hockey.
Hockey. Okay. Okay, well, some of you, out there may have different sports from baseball and watching the Jays almost win the World Series, and hockey could be.
That was tough.
Yes.
That's a whole other segment.
Oh, yes. Well, anyway, hockey, you could be Montreal, Boston, Toronto, who knows? But one thing I will say is the fact that as we come into this season and so forth, I pride myself in being close to Hampton, New Brunswick, and we have a new arena there. And the arena there is known as the Summit Center, has a walking trail, which is great, a walking path, and big difference from the barn, the old arena. So anyway, but if you haven't had a chance, there are free skates there. Beautiful, beautiful spot right off the highway, and something that again is something to be seen.
Now I heard a rumor, and
Yeah.
maybe you can tell me if it's true. But is Hampton really getting a Dairy Queen?
It's only been how long, but yes. Hopefully by the spring we'll have a Dairy Queen, which means I think that's 17 places in Hampton you can get ice cream. But anyway,
Yes.
yeah.
Now, any talks on a McDonald's?
Not that I know of, not that I know of. What I do know though is that the amount of growth that we've seen, St. John and outside, is great. And one of the things that we look for is education, the schools. So Uptown, as many of you may or may not know, has a school that's being built as we speak, and it's great to see that. It's great to see when there are schools being built, shows that there's growth, and that's really important, especially in our market, where the St. John and surrounding area is usually a stagnant market compared to many different communities.
I would definitely argue that we're not capable of expanding as fast
Right.
as some of the other cities in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of older heritage buildings and things like that, and we like to kind of keep it. We are the oldest port city, and it would be nice to kind of show the tourism of that rather than coming into brand new condos and like I thought this was an old city.
Yeah.
We definitely are not growing as fast, but there is substantial growth. A lot of what we call the filtering process. When a newer build comes in, someone's kind of moving up into that, and then somebody's moving up into their old place.
Yeah.
So we're definitely seeing a lot of filtering. Um,
But that's back to how it used to be.
yeah,
Yeah, it used to be that anybody was more or less in I guess you could say, a process of purchasing five properties. They start with maybe a mini home or a townhouse. They work their way to a bungalow. Then they work their way to a two-story. Then maybe in between they have a cottage somewhere in there. And then, of course, they end up with a garden home. And as of late, we're even seeing condos, condo living, which for this area was, I guess you could say, behind the times compared to some of the larger markets.
I would agree.
Yeah, yeah, with some beautiful condos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that is pretty much the full life cycle
Oh, yes.
for your average buyer.
Now, Michael has had the opportunity over the last few years of trekking for Royal LePage. Royal LePage prides himself in making sure that our cause that we work very hard to support is the Shelter Foundation. And what's great about Royal LePage, as you know, and maybe you may not, is that every dollar that we make towards the Shelter Foundation goes to the Shelter Foundation. So it's very important to note that all our sales at Team Somerville, a portion does go to the Shelter Foundations. And once every 2 years, there's a trek. So the last two treks Michael has actually been on. So Michael, when you tell them where you've been.
Sure. Well, this year I was proud to be part of Group 3, and we went to Cambodia.
Okay.
And so each day consisted on average about, 18 to 20 kilometers of hiking. The last day, of course, is your celebration day. So there's a little less hiking. Okay. But we're taken back to somewhat primitive times of, you're sleeping in a tent. There's very primitive bathrooms in some cases.
Yes.
But again, why are we doing that? The whole point is like, as we're leading up to that trek, we're doing fundraising. So Cambodia alone, there was about 125-ish Royal Page realtors across the nation. And together we raised over 1.6 million just for that trek.
That's awesome.
Just that trek. And 2 years ago, I had the privilege of going to Ecuador,
Oh, yeah.
where we were hiking a lot of pathways, and basically the center of it was Cotopaxi, which you don't know, if you don't know, is it is the tallest active volcano in the world. Now, don't worry.
Did you ever go on our smells?
No. We didn't climb to the top or anything like that. Actually, at the time of year we were there, there was a little bit of rumbling, a little bit of stirring, kind of some people feared maybe they'd cancel the trek.
Yeah.
But no, very safe. And like I said, the focus is on the Shelter Foundation. For that trek, we raised over 1.7 million.
Wow.
So again, every 2 years, we're lucky to be a part of this. I mean, you're chosen. Like there's literally hundreds of people, looking to go on these treks, and they always take a portion of what we call veteran trekkers, and then of course a portion of newbies.
Sure.
And so the veterans can, mentor the newbies and show them the ropes. And yeah, I'm just very lucky to
Yeah.
have 2 treks in a row.
Good.
Next year, when we go to our sales conference, they will announce the big reveal of where 2017's trek will be, which is always very exciting. It's like when you watch a movie trailer and you can really feel it. That's what it is. They do like these trailers, and that's what got me on Ecuador. Is they did this video and they're like, "Are you up to the challenge?"
And you're going to be in the next video, right?
I am going to be, well, if they don't cut me, because I'm not the prettiest of the group.
Okay.
But I did do some lines for it. Well,
Michael, the one thing that I will say is that when Michael came back, he had mentioned that one of the most gratifying parts of the trek was realizing that as he was walking and doing his trek, you would see these children playing with absolutely nothing, and the smile on their face, and
they're so happy. They're so content.
it's the alive.
I mean, nothing against some of their communities, but of course, it's not,
Yeah,
it's not modern civilization.
right.
Um,
But for you to be able to feel that,
Absolutely. And it kind of makes you realize, like the little things that you may take for granted or you overlook, or, I mean, you don't need all these things, not to be that guy, you don't need all these materialistic things, but, it's true. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen on a daily basis, and, they, they don't have.
well, I just want everyone to know that again, in our business, it's not all glimmer and shine. We do our best to make sure that we see all walks of life, and that's with real estate, and that's outside of real estate. And I'm very proud.
We've got, thank you. We have some great people at corporates. Shout out to Carly, who he's like the coordinator for this. And the day before I flew down, she and a team had actually gone out to the local women's shelter in Siem Reap and presented a donation as well.
Wow.
Some goodies and things like that. So it's not just about the shelters here at Canada. They're all doing their part to support them
Yeah.
across the world.
Well, let's talk about one or two more things,
Yeah.
and we'll wrap up our first podcast. And hopefully, if you've enjoyed this, you can join us on our next. Let's talk about realtors. What are some of their biggest mistakes, and that buyers and sellers do that maybe us as realtors can help you? So as a buyer, what's a mistake that maybe some buyers do?
I would say the biggest one, and of course, every real estate professional is going to say this, but the biggest one is not knowing your budget. And what I mean by that is not going to a mortgage broker or your bank and getting a pre-approval.
Be prepared.
It's a simple process. Go in. Here's my expenses. Here's my salaries. What can you do for me, basically? And I know it's tough sometimes to get into your local bank. It could be a 2 weeks to get in, just to have that initial sit down. But just knowing what your budget is going to help you
Oh, I agree.
in the long run.
I agree.
I mean, we all have dreams, and we think, yeah, I can afford a $400,000 house. I mean, you go online, you do a little mortgage calculator, and you're like, yeah, I can afford that. But that's not always the case. Sometimes there's some skeletons in the closet that
agree.
we've all had. But,
I agree.
when I was young, I had $1,000 that it was, yeah. It was on a credit card that somehow, I don't know what happened, young, whatever, but got that quickly fixed. And, it's just, these things happen.
Well,
We're human.
Well, I believe the biggest mistake buyers make is that just like we at Team Somerville, we have a strong team. You need to have the right strong team. As a buyer, you don't have to pay 99.9% of the time a realtor fee. That's already incorporated in the listings that you're looking at. So it's not like you're, forking out a ton of money on that. Your mortgage broker, a lot of times there are no fees to use a mortgage broker. And so again, you want to make sure you have the right one working with you. Now, to have the right team to get to the next step, and that is, of course, to see it through, I think that most buyers, again, they need to have the right realtor, the right mortgage broker, and I'm with you. Be prepared, and I think that, again, we see many times people call, they want to write an offer, and they're not ready. And so, no, I agree.
I just think in the long run, it just sets themselves up for heartbreak.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
and yeah, I think
Disappointment.
I would say number one for buyers is get your pre-approval
Kika.
and just know your budget.
Okay. What's the biggest mistake sellers make?
Not calling Team Somerville. No, I would say not calling a professional.
Okay.
Actually, to be honest, it would be you've seen it a lot. Is they call us, we come in and they say, okay, we're thinking about putting a $40,000 kitchen in before we sell. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
And a lot of times we say, to pump the brakes. Like, we don't know if we can get you the 40,000 back on that kitchen, right?
Sure.
We've also, for personal experience, had people come in and look at a lovely kitchen and they say, yep, that's the first to go. And you're just like,
What?
so I would say for sellers to keep things as basic as possible. Paint's paint. Like, they're going to paint their own colors. They don't have to worry about, like, oh, this is a weird purple. No, they can see past that.
Yeah.
They'll paint it a millennial gray.
Okay.
I don't mean that.
No.
But
Well, what I believe is that sellers have to realize that their home is a story. Their life in that home is a story. And that chapter is coming to an end. And for them to start a new chapter with a new house or apartment or wherever they're going, they have to be ready to turn that page. And I find sometimes the biggest mistake sellers make is they're just not as prepared to turn that page. So right back to what you said, maybe the house needs a little bit more staging. Maybe they don't need to spend a lot of money to have it prepared, but they darn well better be prepared
That's true.
to move and know where they're going. We're finding more and more. Don't you find
if they're sitting on the fence, then that's when we start running into, here's an offer for above asking price, and they say, well, that's not good enough. Well, you're misplacing sentimental value with
what
practical market value.
Yes.
And like you said, yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
If you're not ready to say goodbye, then
Well,
I don't think we can.
no.
Yeah.
So other than that, I think that based on time and hopefully based on interest, we can come back or you can come back and see us again. So, Michael, this has been a pleasure.
Yes, it was a great first time, and we'll definitely get more comfortable and on the next one. So
Okay, I don't know if I like the way you did your shoulders,
sorry
but
about
that's
that.
okay.
More comfortable. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in, and that's all of us from Off the Market with Team Somerville.
Keep us in mind if you're thinking about buying or selling, and also keep us in mind if by any chance you have any questions at all. Real estate, we're here for you. Call us, email us. You can find us on many different platforms, but we'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching this episode of Off the Market with Team Somerville.
Music proudly provided by our good friend Anthony Trim, produced and edited by our also good friend and employee of Tim's, Hayden McNamee, and made in partnership, of course, with Team Somerville.